So now, just for our arrival in the Usambara Mountains, close to Amani, along the road we see, of course, vertical rocks, and on these vertical rocks here I see a very strange begonia, strange compared to the ones we have seen in the other mountains of the Eastern Arc, I mean Uluguru and Udzungwa, because this one has a very strong stem, so perennial stem, and it has very oblique, vertically displaying leaves. We see the inflorescence, so we see the male flowers with the stamens, and we see, of course, the female flowers with the ovaries, three-winged ovary, and here we see the fruits of this begonia. We see on the lower part of the leaves, we see all these hairs at the top of the petiole. There are 3 rings of hairs. We see at each bifurcation of the main nerves there are also tufts of hairs. Huge individuals of Platycerium. It is probably Platycerium elephantotis because there are only 2 species, Temaria and elephantotis, in Africa, but I'm very surprised because I know quite well this species. I did see it very often, but never reaching such a huge size. The global huge size, both for the hanging green photosynthetic fronds and also the erect basket fronds, but also the base of the fertile front is totally narrowed like a peciole, and usually in this species the peciole is not at all so well individualized. And of course there is a big bunch of orchid. It's very well growing together with the Platycerium. So we see the flower of this Clusiaceae, Allenblackia, and we see typical structure of the flowers of this family. So with the thick petals and the stamens, which are all clustered together on the top of these structures, and we see the anthers at the top. So it's a very special structure of flower on the sepals just around.
Il est très pur ce Sympolia dans sa disposition des feuilles. Vraiment une variation de couleurs.
Couleur plus claire.
I don't know if the difference of color is due to the age of the flower or differences between individuals. So on this vertical per-humid rock, we see many interesting plants. At the top is a population of Dracena, and this Dracena has long hanging stems and is growing again from the base, which is not so usual to see a Dracena growing vertically like this, but we did see already before, so it seems it's happy like this. And here a cactus, Rhipsalis casuta maxifera, which is the only species of Rhipsalis which did escape from America and which is now in many tropical countries, especially in Africa, in Madagascar, and also in Sri Lanka, not in Southeast Asia, but here in Africa, so it is native. But what is incredibly beautiful is this dense population of the Imao Sympolia. It is totally growing vertically among the mosses. We see actually it's not at all on the exposed dry surface of the rock, but always on the protected, very shaded and very humid zones of the rock. So it can self-seed all along this patch of dark mosses, and we see seedlings everywhere. I don't see capsules, but we can see some flowers now. Of course, we have to know that Sympolia, the genus, has been merged in the genus Streptocarpus, just as a subsection. But for everybody, of course, Sympolia is really a good entity. It's better to speak about Sympolia. We see also beautiful ferns, epiphytic ferns. I don't know because no sorry at all, so I cannot say which group is not Asplenium, so I think it's more related to the Polypodiaceae sensulato. There are young sori, so yes, it really looks like sori of Polypodiaceae, just small dots. So it's good to see this high level of humidity, which is the best to have a high level of biodiversity. on this very shaded vertical rock. We see a quite small population of Sapolia, but what is interesting is that we never see big adult plants. We see medium-sized and many small ones, but probably it's not simply juveniles of new plants. Probably, since there is very low light level, probably they are growing again and again, remaining at this small level of development, but they are growing well, probably never becoming a totally mature and flowering plant. Tiny seeds like powder, so they germinate only on vertical cliffs like this among mosses. You see the babies?
Yeah, I see the baby, very small ones.
You see?
Voilà, you have the first stage here of germination with two cotyledons,
one big, typical of these Gesneriaceae, one bigger cotyledon hanging down on the very small opposite. Here we see the capsular fruits, but not yet ripe. But when they will open, in this species the capsular fruit is very long. Some Sampolia have much shorter fruits. This species has very long fruits, and when it will open, it will be exposing the tiny seeds dispersed by raindrops, and also in case of strong wind, of course, they can also disperse the seeds and create a new population. Just I did say before, now Sampolia has been merged in Streptocarpus, same as all the African Gesneriaceae now are all Streptocarpus, but actually it's not necessary, because all the species which were in separate genera before now are sections of Streptocarpus. So in some way it's better to keep the genus than to have a section which is exactly similar concerning the species. This erect Melastomataceae, according to the shape of the flower and the capsular erect fruits, probably it's a Calvora, the genus. You see clearly here the erect rain splash capsular fruit. We see that rain is falling and all the seeds are expulsed with the raindrops and germinating, of course, among the mosses on the vertical rock. Here, of course, we see many beautiful native species, the Calvora, the Sampolia, many ferns, and so on. And here we see the terrible problem of the mesopsis. So this wood, the trunk, has been cut. It's a good thing, but what is not so a good thing is that when you cut one mesopsis, you have thousands and thousands seedlings immediately appearing as soon as you cut them. So we have no problem to remove because they have to be destroyed. So we see the two cotyledons and the leaves, and it's really a problem because it grows very quickly, and even in 7 years it can reach about 10 meters high. So it's and very difficult to eradicate, because when you cut them you allow thousand seedlings to germinate. So it was a bad introduction from the German time. Just under this fallen trunk we see a begonia according to the leaf shape. Oh, and we see all the water drops at the periphery, which are a result of hydatodes excreting water at the periphery of the leaf. So I think it's a Begonia oxyloba. Oxyloba means that the lobes are pointed, so it's a good species name. And also when I look at the flowers just under, I see the female flower with the ovary, more or less cylindrical ovary, which will become a fruit, because most begonia have capsular fruits, but some, especially in Africa, have berry fruits on Begonia oxyloba will develop like it has 3 wings, but it will become pink and a berry-like fruit, very different from other begonias. Of course, we see the small male flowers without the ovary, and here a young inflorescence. So here we see mature fruits of the Begonia oxyloba, and we see really the fleshy structure of the fruit, and it's quite funny because the 2 tepals of the female flower are remaining at the top of the ovary, which is now a totally developed berry fruit. So some begonias have this type of fruits, especially in Africa. So this impatiens, we see 2 different colors, the bright pink and the orange color, and actually it is Impatiens walleriana from this species that most of the hybrids and varieties cultivars have been produced all over the world, especially to put in the streets and roundabout in the streets. And the origin is these mountains of East Africa, and especially the Eastern Arc Mountains. Calvora orientalis we did see in the shade with few flowers and few fruits, but this population is growing in very exposed area because it's growing on the trunk of Ocotea, which it was falling, and we see that in this case it's flowering everywhere, and each inflorescence has many more flowers than in the shade, and each flower is giving a fruit. So I don't know if there is fecundation or if it's a kind of auto-fecundation or apomixis, but quite usual in this type of Melastomataceae. Usually each flower is giving a fruit. It's the same for the Sonerilla in Southeast Asia, for instance. I did think it could be a lobelia, but it has not white latex, so or maybe an Asteracea, I don't know. Ah oui, c'est vrai.
Bon, c'est pas facile à voir, hein.
Net.
Ouais.
Il est net.
Il est adorable.
Parce que j'ai pris avec ça, mais il est surtout tout petit qu'on ne peut pas.
Il est adulte.
Oui, adulte, oui. Il est adulte.
Il est mignon. Et celui-là, il est pas que des Moussambara, il est.
Ah, anapatikana kila mahali hao. Eh. C'est uniquement les chaînes des Moussambara.
Ah, d'accord. Il est mignon, regarde.
Je le vois plus.
Quelque chose.
Je le vois plus.
Si, les.
La branche qui monte.
Here is a beautiful Acanthacea. It's a Bryanthesia, probably Bryanthesia ovariensis, which has a huge terminal inflorescence, but after growing from the base, it's an Acanthacea typical of these very humid areas we see always almost in water. And the leaf has a beautiful shape because we see the winged peciole. So on the opposite leaves, of course, typical of Acanthacea. In some countries it becomes a little bit invasive. For instance, in Réunion Island it's a little bit invasive, but here it is at home. In the forest of Amani we see a ginger, a medium-sized ginger, and when I look at the base I see these fruits, and these red fruits and this congested inflorescence at the base is characteristic of the genus Aphramomum. We see all the unripe green fruits and the ripe red fruits. So this is an Aphramomum. There are quite many species of Aphramomum. Some are very big and some are growing everywhere and even sometimes blocking regeneration of forest, but this one is a typical forest species, so no problem at all. You see that John did open the fruit of the Aphramomum, so we see the periphery which is bright red, and in the center we see the black seeds merged inside the white pulp. So of course this is good for some birds and for monkeys, but also we can use as human beings also like a kind of a sweet spice. This is a group of the Dracena with plagiotropic stems, because there are some erect species of Dracena. For instance, the one we can see just behind, which has all the leaves dispersed around the vertical autotropic growing stem. So many species are like this one, but also there are species like this which are much branched. The other one is almost not branched. This one is much branched and is totally plagiotropic with the leaves in two opposite directions. Of course, leaves are alternate, but the display is absolutely perfect to catch the maximum of light in the low light understory. I did see a small erect green thing which did look, according to the leaves, to a Dorstenia, and when I approach I see it is a Dorstenia, but this one has a very, very beautiful inflorescence because the lobes at the periphery are very, very long, so it is very elegant, really like a spider. Dorstenia is a very strange genus because there are many species in tropical America, from Mexico to South America, and in Africa. It's very well diversified in these two continents, but nothing in Asia, except just one species in Sri Lanka. So it's not at all usual distribution, especially for plants growing in the forest understory. an erect species of Palisota in Comilinaceae, and it is well branched. We can see, for instance, here that there are two branches because each time it is flowering, inflorescence is terminal, and after we have lateral stem developing. So there are some other species of Palisota rosetted and remain close to the ground, but the other group of species are erect like this, and there are also some climbing species. But this one is also very special due to the color of the flower buds, which are very special due to the purple lines. Oh, and some insects like it also.
Ah oui, oui, c'est ça, je vois la différence.
Tu vois,
Elles sont dorées, regarde un peu ces fourmis incroyables.
Ah oui, elles sont complètement... Ah oui, sublimes. Ah oui, regarde, l'abdomen est complètement or.
Ah oui, c'est de l'or.
So here in the Kiganga forest, in the Usambara, East Usambara mountains, it's a very rich place because you are in south and it's very humid, more humid than around Amani. So for the forest understory, we see many, many plants. And here, the other genus of the ginger family, Zingiberaceae, which has beautiful plicate leaves and the erect inflorescence with small flowers. So it is totally different from the Aphramomum, which has a big colorful label, usually white or most often pink, and this is Rhenealmia, is a characteristic of both West and East African forest, but also many species are in South America. It's quite exceptional to have the same genus with species in South America and in Africa. A costus, a flowering costus, and actually more commonly we see one other species with smaller labellum and edged with pink usually. This one is perfectly white and quite large. So I have to check because by chance a few years ago family Costaceae has been revised for Africa. I think we have seen already at least 4 species. We have seen Costus spectabilis, Costus macranthus, the pink one, this white one, so it's not so bad. When people think that East Africa is not rich, it's not really true. Oula! Oh yes, it's this is a Psychotria of the group which was named before Cephaelis. It was another genus, the genus Cephaelis, characteristic of African forest. And we see, first of all, the bracts, 2 bracts enclosing the flowers in the middle, which are all on a kind of disc. So this is the genus Cephaelis, like a cephalium, like a head, but also like mouth is. We know, for instance, in tropical America also species with bright red extended bracts, but originally the genus Cephaelis was described from Africa. And we see Rubiaceae, of course, because of the stipules just on each side of the opposite leaves. Here in this forest edge, we see a very beautiful flowering member of the Rubiaceae. So it is a pavetta. I say that according to the shape of the flower and the very long pistil, exerted style. And it's a good period because the inflorescence doesn't last for so long time. So today we are very lucky to see it at its best. Oh, there is a smell. A little bit smell of white flower. In this forest of the Eastern Arc, quite many species of Vitaceae actually. Many of course are climbing, but also there are some erect species belonging either to Lea or Cyphostema, also erect, but many climbing, and this one is probably a Cissus according to leaf shape. So we see the typical opposite tendril, but it's very beautiful because it retains the red color of the underside of the leaves, even when the leaves are quite old, so this is not so usual.
C'est étrange, hein?
Yes, it's again a shrub of the family Rubiaceae. Maybe a group of Psychotria according to the shape of the inflorescence, terminal inflorescence like this. I'm surprised by the size of the flowers, and the berries are white also. I did think a Medinilla, but actually no, because the leaves are alternate and not opposite. So maybe it's in Urticaceae and Urera, climbing Urera, not of course no stinging hairs, but I think it's a member of Urticaceae. Orchid with plicate leaves all along the stem. This is a young individual. Is a Corymborchis, and this genus is also in Asia. You can find in Africa and in Asia. Also some are here. So it's a small population of Corymborchis. small population of a tiny prostrate plant covering the slope, the earth slope, and it has grayish leaves. The leaves seem to be simply undulate, and when we look at fruits, yes, we can see the typical Rubiaceus fruits, and so it's probably a small prostrate Psychotria, and because there are many small species in Africa of Psychotria like this, of course there are the stipules typical of all Rubiaceae. We can see, yes, the dark stipules. There are fruits almost everywhere. Here we see the stipules, the brown stipules, and we can see that the leaf is actually not dentate but undulate. The leaves are very similar to many small members of Myrcinaceae, like Labizia, for instance, in Asia, but it's typical of many of these understory plants. Here I see a very strange small erect plant. Strange because I did see first the terminal spike, branch spike with flowers, and laterally and the axil of each leaf is totally different kind of inflorescence, long pendant inflorescence. So probably these are the male inflorescence. Difficult to know if it's stamens. Yes, it seems these tiny things are stamens, and here quite big things. Oh, in 3 parts. So it's probably a member of Euphorbiaceae, because I see the ovary with typical 3 parts. The small pink things which seem, it's okay, here I understand. The small pink filiform things are actually the stigma of the ovary. So it's quite strange to see this strong dimorphism between the male inflorescence hanging below and at the top the female inflorescence. Is strange because usually at the top of a structure like this, for instance in maize, the male inflorescence is at the top and the pollen can be released with the wind, and in the lower places are the female inflorescence. But no, here this member of Euphorbiaceae did choose something else, the male down and the female up. So on this vertical rock close to a waterfall in the East Usambara Mountains, but now we are at lower altitude than Amani. We are at about 400 meters above sea level, and on this rock we see a very beautiful begonia. I think maybe it's a begonia Engleri, because actually there are few species of begonia here, which has very beautifully shaped leaves, which has many hairs below the leaves, along the pétiole, along the stems. It's not at all annual stems, it's a stem persisting for quite a long time, and we see all the fruits and flowers at the same time. So it's quite strange to see that it is almost permanently flowering, and all these capsular fruits are totally white. And we see really that due to the wind they are moving, so the seeds are dispersed. It's the instance, the way of dispersal of the seeds of this begonia, because according to the shape of the capsular fruit, sometimes it's the rain, sometimes it's the wind, of course very often both the raindrops and the wind dispersing the seeds. So here on the top of this rock we see a small plant with thick leaves. These leaves are a little bit dentate, and I see that the center of the plant where the new leaves appear is totally covered by bright purple hairs, and this, I think, really a member of the Asteraceae, and I think about the genus Genura. I know the genus in Asia, but I think it's also in Africa. But in this case, it seems it's a very small species covering the rocks, understory species. It's the case for many Genura species. Going down from Amani in the east to Sambara Mountains, you are now probably about 280 or 300 meters above sea level. And on this, at the top of this vertical rock, I see something really interesting. It's a chlorophytum, but when I look at the base, which is a little bit orange, I think it is Chlorophytum amaniense. So from Amani, we are not exactly in Amani here, we are a little bit lower, but all the botanists came in all this area, and even the children now, and so the very wide peciole and the color a little bit orange really looks like belonging to the species Amaniense, Chlorophytum amaniense. Now, by chance, I'm very close to another individual of the Chlorophytum amaniense, and we see the characteristic very wide leaf blade and, most important, the more or less winged peciole with this so characteristic orange-brown color. So, and very thick. It's quite different from the one we know in botanical gardens and nurseries in Europe, but it is this species, undoubtedly. So we are here at the entrance of the Amboni Caves, just closer to Tanga in the northeast part of Tanzania. And here is the place where was discovered 130 years ago by the Baron Saint Paul, who was in charge of governance in Tanga, the city very close to Amboni Caves. And here was collected for the first time the Saint-Paulia ionantha. Saint-Paulia, why? Because it was the Baron Saint Paul. So the genus name was named Saint-Paulia. And actually here at the Amboni Caves there are two species. This one has a little bit dentate leaves. We see the perfectly appressed rosette of leaves on the vertical limestone rocks. Humid, because now we know that January and February are very dry months in this area of Tanzania, but we see actually that there are adiantum ferns and also algae, so it remains humid due to the fact that it's a limestone cave. So it's really impressive to see this plant discovered 130 years ago, and now that you can find in all supermarkets of the world for less than €1, and it's endemic only on this small area of the Amboni Caves. there are Sempolia, of course, but also other interesting plants like the Zamioculcas, but we see it everywhere, and some Dorstenia. This one is quite special because it has bright white inflorescence, which has many short elements, filiform elements on each side, and two long filiform elements opposite that we can see here. And the bottom part of the Amboni Caves, it's incredible. I see side by side 3 species of Dorstenia. This one, which is a succulent species, which is probably Dorstenia Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt did collect so many plants in Tanzania at the 19th century. We see it's a really totally succulent, and we see it is a quite simple inflorescence with 2 opposite long thick filaments, and just under it on the soil we see the other one, which is much more adapted to ever wet places, because here in the soil and under the caves there are always flowing water. So this species, which has not at all thick leaves, which is totally thin-leaved and with very white inflorescences, and just here, 1 or 2 meters below, a more erect and more lignified species, but obviously it's a Dorstenia when we look at the inflorescence, which is a kind of boat with a recurved shape, brown. So here, side by side, 3 Dorstenia species. First time in my life that I see this. So on these limestone rocks, vertical cliffs, we see a dark green, almost brown individual, and here a very light green individual. So actually these 2 individuals are side by side, but this one we see that the underside of the leaf is very dark purple. It's why the upper surface is dark green, almost brown. While this individual with very bright green leaves on the upper surface actually has under surface which is pale green, almost white. So actually when we know that the different varieties of Sempolia in cultivation either have under surface of leaves which is bright purple or green, it means actually we can see this in nature. So probably at the beginning the seedlings were collected from wild plants which were already genetically diverse according to the anthocyaninic under surface of the leaves. And here also we have not to forget this so beautiful hanging Dorstenia Hildebrandt with very succulent stems just above another Sempolia ionantha. Very beautiful protected population here on the other side of the Amboni Caves. very strange shrub with opposite leaves, a little bit swollen notes. So I think it's a member of Acanthaceae, but the very strange structure is a flower. We see the lower three-lobed surface of the corolla is totally dark purple and the upper side is white, and we see the stamens by two at the top. So very strange flower with very long elements concerning the calyx lobes. I could say maybe an Acanthaceae, but impossible to be sure. But I think due to swollen notes and the global shape.
kwa hamu nimlele mapenzi na mesitomdhulumu mempa mema malezi. Amenijia kwa hamu nimlele mapenzi na mesitomdhulumu mempa mema malezi. Kwa alivyo muadhamu uyakata siwezi. Kwa alivyo muadhamu uyakata siwezi. Kwa alivyo muadhamu uyakata siwezi. Kwa alivyo muadhamu uyakata siwezi.
Here in the bar of the Ayana Hotel, we can see this guy, and this guy is the endemic Phelsuma parkeri, so a day gecko. Finally, hopefully for it, it's well adapted to anthropogenic habitats. So naturally, it is probably living in the coconut trees, or maybe in the canopy of the forest, which has almost disappeared from the island. It's very, very thin. It is a pure green. This endemic gecko Phelsuma parkeri. Of course, here there are much less predators than in the forest, so it's why maybe they like to stay around the houses. Member of a Vitaceae climbing here. We see clearly it's a Vitaceae, 3-foliate leaves. The tendrils typically opposite to the leaves, so no problem. It is a Vitaceae, very thick leaves, totally adapted to this very salty environment on the Pemba beach.
Come and tell him I can come give me something make me Kawasaki. Give me G-Wagon, yo, yo. Take me to London, yo, yo. Ibidi-ba-bo-bo. He said make I do my ass roboto, 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 to, roboto, 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 to, roboto. Yeah, roboto. He said make I do my ass roboto, 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 to, roboto, 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 to, roboto. Yeah, roboto. He said make I wind up. When you hear the song.
It's very strange, this climbing species which is flowering on very long flagelliform shoots. We see they are more or less coiling. It's like a tendrils because we see it's turning here, but the axis is totally for the flowering, and I see another older one here also with the last traces of flowers. So it's strange, I think, when I see the shape, I think obviously an Apocynaceae. Here we see clearly the coiling habit of the inflorescence. Here this flower is fully open, pure white, but we see that the axis is totally coiling. So around it's a really prehensile axis and coiling around each element. Here it's a kind of old wooden stem, and it's here the inflorescence is coiling just around its own stem, and it appears here. So it's a strange, because it seems really that this huge Apocynaceae climbing very high in the trees prefers to have the inflorescence on long flagelliform shoots, but coiling close to the ground, rather than to have flowers in the canopy of the forest. So it's a kind of flagelliflory. So I see this stem going here, okay, but so, okay, when I see the small stems, actually they are connected to this huge stem. So the Apocynaceae with the very thin hanging and coiling inflorescence actually is this huge liana of the family Apocynaceae. I think it's quite easy to know the name of the genus, but how old is this? Impossible to know, but we see it coiling in all directions. Wow, here is a very tall species of Sansevieria, taller than me. Of course, I'm not so tall, but this one is almost 2 meters long, this leaf. So I think I did never see a Sansevieria with so long leaves. It is very thick, of course. So it's a beautiful clump, no inflorescence now, but really a forest species growing on the soil, because Sansevieria often are growing on rocks, but not. This one is really growing in the soil of the forest understory. Here I'm especially surprised because we see that everywhere is growing Zamioculcas zamiifolia. And I'm very surprised because everywhere before in the Uluguru Mountains, in the Usambara Mountains, lowland areas, it's always growing on vertical rocks, but here actually it's totally growing on the ground, and we see here the dominant species on the ground. Each part of the leaf, each leaflet, when it's cut, falling, it is able to give a new plant. So if I see some small ones, but here we clearly see young leaf and flower. This is a spadix, so with all the male flowers in the second part and the female flowers very different. You see here, these are female flowers and these male flowers with pollen. So on the inflorescence, you have two different parts. Upper part is male, lower part is female. So here we see the Typhonodorum with huge leaves, of course, and also here we see inflorescences. So this is the upper part of the spat, which is falling when the fruit is maturing. So now it is dry, but it was open like Xanthedeschia and other Aracea, and here the fruits are maturing, protected by the lower part of the spat. Huge here, also with the end of the spadix, which was the male part of the spadix, and the female part at the bottom, which is swallowing now the totally thick during maturation of the fruits. Oh, and the beautiful blue lily, which is probably Nymphaea zanzibarensis, because we are in Pemba, but Zanzibar is very close also, of course. The water lilies are cultivated in many parts of the world, but the origin of the blue color is this one. It's good to see it growing wild at home. The famous Dipsis pembana, endemic to Pemba Island, and it's mostly in this Ngezi forest because it is an understory palm, so only growing in Pemba. It has the green stipe, and we see the much branched inflorescence at the top of the stipe, just under the insertion of the peciole of the leaves, emerging at the top of the sheath. One of the Barringtonia species with long hanging inflorescence, because some have just erect flowers, but some have long hanging, and we see four-parted fruits of Barringtonia. They have the typical form of many trees growing in the water. I mean, the base with dilated trunks and the bark with many openings, vertical openings, allowing oxygen to penetrate in the deeper tissues. Very elegant Dracena. It's one of the group of the Plagiotropic species, but this one has very, very wide leaves and very shiny, almost succulent leaves. It's not big, I did say never taller than 2 or 3 meters. So here I'm just in front of a huge population of Typhonodorm growing, of course, in the water, and we see at least 4 interesting species here. At the first, we see the papyrus, close to Cyperus papyrus, the so beautiful blue water lily, so the Nymphea zanzibarensis. Above the Typhonodorm, we see the huge palm, which is a raffia. This species is very beautiful because the rashes of the leaves is really orange, and everywhere we can see the Typhonodorm with fruits, inflorescence, with a beautiful spot. We see the fruits, ripening fruits, which are bending downwards. Also some small individuals here, it's seedlings, and of course the population of the huge individuals reaching the maximum size, which is about 3 meters high for the tallest leaves. It's a very well-maintained population because actually it is just the border of the Ngezi Forest Reserve, so it is protected. Otherwise, if it was not the border of the reserve, maybe it could be totally transformed in rice fields, so the Typhonodorm could disappear. But it is the forest reserve, so the Typhonodorm are perfectly growing here. They are also in Zanzibar and also in some parts of Madagascar, but here is a very, very beautiful population. Here's this fern, actually Phimatodes scolopendria, and it's a common fern in Africa, both in humid places and here also, but here it's always difficult to say if it's humid or dry, because in this heath woodland, the Philippia woodland, the soil of course is sometimes over wet and flooded and sometimes dry. So I'm in a heath woodland. We could think that I'm, for instance, in south of France, among Erica arborea, exactly similar, same size, but actually I'm not at all in south of France. Simply, I am still in Pemba, on the western part of Pemba, and here is an exceptional population of course, it's an Ericacea, so it's very similar to Erica arborea, but it's the closely allied genus. It's a Philippia mafiensis. Mafiensis, it means that it was first discovered in the Mafia Island, which is just south of Zanzibar, so not far from here. But now in Mafia, it has almost totally disappeared. But here, hopefully, in the Ngezi forest, there is a big area of this Philippia mafiensis, which is very well preserved. Of course, some people sometimes come to cut a little bit firewood, but globally, no problem. The population is absolutely well maintained. So it's the only place in the world where we can see this population of Philippia mafiensis. So it's really important to protect efficiently this area. And hopefully, the Ngezi forest, because it is a part of Ngezi Forest Reserve, is very well preserved. So we can see that we have totally different types of vegetation and environment. We have the tall forest with the palm, the Dipsis pembana, which is common inside, and all the Zamioculcas in understory, so all this type of forest. And we have seen the totally waterlogged and really the marshes with the Typhonodorm and the raffia. And here we have this very acidic sandy soil, a little bit like a podzolic soil. which is totally covered with Philippia, and of course during the rainy season it is very often waterlogged, and during the dry season it is on the contrary very dry. So this species is able to withstand these differences, strong differences in the soil, in the water content of the soil. So it's very strange, and we see that it was flowering. Here I see some old inflorescence at the top of the young stems, but we can see on quite many others also these inflorescence. It is growing now because we see the end of the tips of the stem, which are perfectly growing, so side by side, growing tips on all the inflorescences. Some trees of course are here, and mostly the Syzygium cordatum, which has very beautiful white inflorescences. Incredible to see so huge diversity in this northern part of Pemba Island.
He said, make a do my ass, roboto, 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 to, roboto, 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 to, roboto. Yeah, roboto. He said, make a do my ass, roboto, 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 to, roboto, 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 to, roboto. Yeah, roboto. He said, make a wine up
when you hear the sound, cool, make it turn around. Makanaki na msongi wa ngongongo salivulie na shati tusirudi kibongongo mpaka jinyani do chido do chido do chido do a baby do chido.
On this beach of North Pemba, I see something quite interesting. I did see this pandanus, so I'm not surprised to see, of course, a pandanus on the beach because there are different species on the beaches, and this one is a female individual, and the syncarp, the big fruit, has totally separate fruit, small fruit, which are about 1 centimeter in diameter, and all side by side, green, not shiny leaves. And actually when moving I was a little bit surprised because I did see from far another individual just 10 meters away, which had much more bluish glaucous leaves. And when I look more closely, I see a fruit, and I'm very surprised because the fruit is totally different. We see big phalanges of many individual small fruits. Each phalange has about maybe 10 individual fruits. It's totally hanging. The leaves are very glaucous. The spines are much more sharp and whitish. So it's a totally different species. So it's not usual at all to see on the same beach, side by side, two different species of pandanus. It's quite exceptional. There are probably male individuals because the fruits are developing on the female individual. And also something which is very beautiful and a little bit surprising are these very small coral islands, and what is surprising is that they are only maybe 5 or 7 meters tall, and the trees on these islands are taller than the rock itself. And if they are standing, it means that actually there are not very strong winds here because they are remaining there for many years. So it's a quite calm Detroit between Tanzania and this group of islands, Pemba, Zanzibar, and then Mafia in the Indian Ocean.
Vois autour de toi, nous sommes tous là. Si l'homme Shanghai, Beaupré, Pigalle, fleur d'ambassade ou reine des Stalls, mais vois aujourd'hui ces pias Zanzibar, des rives du Mekong ou de la Yangtze. Dans toutes les terres tu as fouillé, même le fond des mers révèle ses secrets. Mais vois aujourd'hui ces pias Zanzibar, car là pour la vie, car là pour tes nuits, mais le jour aussi, elle veille sur ta vie. Cigarette, champagne, caviar, champagne, Rolls Royce ou diams, c'est ta vie qui gagne. Des artistes d'amour resteront toujours dans le cœur du monde. Tu les découvres, ils viennent toujours des quatre coins du monde. Car là pour tes nuits, car là pour la vie, mais le jour aussi, elle veille sur ta vie. Le monde n'est pas trop grand, en as-tu fait le tour? Maintenant c'est l'Afrique, et tu nous emmèneras dans ton fort du Mozambique. Vois autour de toi, nous sommes tous là. Si l'homme Shanghai, Beaupré, Pigalle, fleur d'ambassade ou reine de Stalls, mais vois aujourd'hui ces pias Zanzibar, des rives du Mekong ou de la Yangtze. Dans toutes les terres tu as fouillé, même le fond des mers révèle ses secrets. Mais vois aujourd'hui ces pias Zanzibar,